Hello everybody, welcome back. And in this session, we will be discussing about the functional status of the kidney. In this section, we will mainly discuss on the glomerular filtration. Next is the permeability of the glomerular capillary network as well as the glomerular basement membrane and the tubular function. So first, let's start with the glomerular filtration. How we can detect glomerular filtration status. The test is known as the clearance test. So clearance test is the procedure by which you can assess the glomerular filtration, and its formula is concentration of the substance in the urine into the volume of the urine divided by plasma concentration of that substance, and this substance either can be inulin or it can be creatinine or it can be urea. Which one is the more better agent to assess the glomerular filtration? Of course, it is the inulin. Why? Because this inulin, number one, it is neither be reabsorbed, nor be secreted, and it will 100% excreted in the urine, not present in a fraction of amount also in the urine, as well as it is non-toxic and not a harmful agent for the body. The main disadvantage of this agent is that you have to give this thing by the intravenous route. So this is the exogenous agent which you have to give intravenously into the body, whereas our creatinine is an endogenous agent, and it can also helpful to detect the glomerular filtration, but the problem is that a little bit of amount creatinine can be secreted, so it is not be reabsorbed but it will be secreted a little bit. That's why our estimated GFR value will be a lesser portion, or in lesser side from the normal GFR. So that's why it is known as eGFR. So eGFR basically a little bit less than the normal GFR value, but you can use this thing, and by using this creatinine, the clearance formula should be like that. This is the urinary concentration of this creatinine into the volume of the urine divided by plasma creatinine concentration, and the formula that will be used to detect the GFR, which is known as estimated GFR, by the Cockcroft-Gault formula. So Cockcroft-Gault equation. Cockcroft-Gault equation is the formula by which you can detect this creatinine clearance, or you can detect the estimated GFR value. And what is the formula? It is 140 minus age into body weight divided by 72 into plasma creatinine concentration. In case of male, you can use one factor, or in case of female, you have to multiply this formula with the 0.8. So for female, you have to multiply the equation with 0.8 value, or in case of male, you have to multiply this with the 1 factor. So this is known as Cockcroft-Gault equation, where 140 minus age in years into body weight in kg divided by 72 into plasma creatinine concentration, which is the milligram per dl. So this is all about our creatinine clearance, and this creatinine clearance estimation can be done to assess the eGFR, which is a little bit lesser than the normal GFR. What is the normal GFR? as we all know, it is or around 125 ml per minute or 180 liter per day. Now, normally GFR is more than 90% in our normal human beings, and we can divide or grade the chronic kidney disease depending upon the GFR value. So if it is more than equal to 60% to less than 90%, it can be seen in case of mild chronic kidney disease. If it will less than, or sorry, if it is more than 30%, more than equal to 30% to less than 60%, it can be seen in case of moderate chronic kidney disease. If it will more than equal to 15% to less than 30%, it can be seen in case of severe chronic kidney disease. And if it will less than 15%, this stage is known as end stage renal disease or the renal failure. And up to this 30% to 60% level, you can use dialysis for treatment. Dialysis for treatment along with this level also. But whenever you will get GFR less than 15%, that means in case of end stage renal disease, dialysis will not be useful, and the definitive treatment or the management for the end stage renal disease or the renal failure is known as renal transplant. So renal transplant is the treatment protocol for the end stage renal disease. Now, second important test is to assess the permeability. Permeability through the glomerulocapillary network as well as through the glomerular basement membrane. Normally, albumin can be permeable through this barrier. So normally, under the normal circumstances, albumin can be present in the urine, which is known as microalbuminuria. Microalbuminuria, and its normal range is around 30 to 300 microgram per day. And overall, the total protein can normally be present in the urine, which is known as proteinuria. Proteinuria should not be more than 150 milligram per day. So if it will exceed more than 300 microgram per day albumin, or if more than 150 milligram per day total protein is present in the urine, it is totally an abnormal condition. And this proteinuria can be seen either in case of prerenal condition. So some prerenal causes are there for which proteinuria can occur. In case of renal cause, there will be proteinuria, or in case of post-renal condition, we can get this proteinuria. So example of the prerenal cause is the multiple myeloma, where you will get Baines-Jones protein. So Baines-Jones protein basically can be present in case of multiple myeloma. The renal cause for the proteinuria example is the nephrotic syndrome, or in case of glomerulonephritis. And example of post-renal condition is the UTI. So these are all about the proteinuria. Proteinuria renal cause, which can be seen in case of nephrotic syndrome. So we can divide this renal cause of proteinuria into three zones: selective subnephrotic range, selective subnephrotic range when the albumin concentration will be less than 3.5 gram per day in urine. That means if you will get albumin concentration less than 3.5 gram per day in urine, this is known as selective subnephrotic range proteinuria. One is the selective nephrotic range. Selective nephrotic range proteinuria. In case of selective nephrotic range proteinuria, albumin concentration should be more than 3.5 gram per day in urine. So if you will get more than 3.5 gram per day in the urine albumin concentration, that means it is selective nephrotic range proteinuria. Then is the non-selective proteinuria. So non-selective proteinuria means you will get other proteins also apart from the albumin, such as globulin or fibrinogen or the clotting factors. In case of glomerulonephritis disease, in case of lupus nephritis, in case of amyloidosis, this non-selective proteinuria can be seen. So in case of glomerulonephritis, in case of lupus nephritis, in case of amyloidosis, you can get this non-selective proteinuria. So again, to summarize, proteinuria can be divided in three zones. One is the selective subnephrotic range proteinuria, where albumin concentration should be less than 3.5 gram per day in urine. One is the selective nephrotic range proteinuria, where you will get albumin concentration more than 3.5 gram per day in urine. And one is the non-selective proteinuria, where you can get other proteins also apart from the albumin, like globulin, fibrinogen, or other clotting factors. And they are typically seen in case of glomerulonephritis, lupus nephritis, and the amyloidosis. So these are all about our proteinuria and assessment of the glomerular permeability of the nephron. Third important factor that you need to assess, that is the tubular function. So tubular function assessment can be done by the specific gravity check. So specific gravity investigation will be helpful to assess the tubular function, and the testing procedure for this specific gravity checking is known as the concentration method, and one is the dilution technique. So these are the two testing procedures by which you can assess the tubular function. And regarding the specific gravity, we have already discussed in our previous video. Please go through the previous session of the specific gravity. Now other tests are important tests are water elimination test, water elimination test, and water deprivation test also. Water deprivation test in case of diabetes insipidus. Next is the radiological assessment. Radiological investigation. So what are the radiological investigation? Most typically in our clinical setting in day-to-day practice, we can do straight X-ray of kidney, ureter, bladder, AP view as well as the lateral view to check the renal stone in the kidney. These renal stones are basically opaque in nature. So radio opaque is the nature of the renal stone, whereas in comparison to the kidney stone, you can get radiolucent stone in gallbladder. So gallbladder stones are basically radiolucent, and radio-opaque stones are the kidney stones. Next important investigation for the renal disease is the ultrasonography. So USG, kidney, ureter, bladder can also be done. In case of, in some disease, you can do MRI or the CT scan also. Also you can do micturition cystourethropy. So micturition cystourethropy is the testing process by which you can assess the intravesicular pressure. So intravesicular pressure measurement can be done by the micturition cystourethropy. Next important investigation is the intravenous pyelography. So intravenous pyelography is also a test under this radiological investigation. Next important radiological investigation, which is the newer one, is the technetium-99m scintigraphy. So technetium-99m scintigraphy. Under this, there are two types of technetium-99m can be used in two conditions. One is the DTPA assessment, one is the DMSA assessment. So DTPA assessment is the testing process by which you can assess the glomerular function. So glomerular function or the glomerular filtration rate can be assessed by this DTPA scan. DMSA scan by the help of the technetium-99m scintigraphy or radioisotope, we can assess the morphology of the kidney. So morphological assessment can be done by this DMSA. So these are all about our renal function test. Hope you will very much enjoy this tutorial session. And if you will have any comment or suggestion, please do comment in the comment section. Thank you.